September was a pretty good reading month. I finally got into the dark academia genre. I read some good mystery. Only one book was a little bit of a letdown. So, as usual, I'm updating my reading journal with a spread for each book while I talk about what I thought of them. Let me know in the comments which books you read the past month and how you like them. The first book I read was If We Were Villains. One of the first dark academia books, If We Were Villains, is set in an elite art school. We follow 7 actor students who study Shakespeare, perform plays, and pretty much do everything together. From the get-go, we know that Oliver, one of the 7 students and the POV of this book, has served 10 years in prison for murder. We don't know if he did it or didn't do it, but we follow him as he retells the full story, now to Detective Colburn, who is retiring and really just wants to get this mystery solved for his own peace of mind, because he's always thought that maybe Oliver was innocent. So we follow them through their time at college, we get a closer look at their dysfunctional group dynamic, and we wonder what on earth happened. The book is very engaging. I felt really immersed into the setting. I could really picture the scenes, the school grounds. The descriptions were really vivid. I also liked the pacing of the book. It really kept me interested throughout. The only reason that I didn't give it 5 stars was that when there were large chunks of Shakespeare, it did feel a little disruptive to me at times, but I think that's only because I haven't read that much Shakespeare and I was a lot more interested in the story rather than the connection to the Shakespeare verses. That being said, if you have read a lot of Shakespeare or have a particular appreciation for it, I can imagine that this is actually what makes the book exceptional. While it did at times go over my head, it was beautifully crafted and definitely an added layer to this story. And I wonder if I will be able to appreciate it more when I reread this book, which I definitely will, since I know that there are some things that I definitely missed. So I settled on a 4.5 with a note to myself to read this again, take my time now that I'm not rushing to find out the ending. So I would definitely recommend this book whether you enjoy Shakespeare or not. It was such an engaging read and it's definitely also a roller coaster of emotions. Make sure to check the content warnings before you do read this book. For the bullet journal spread, I wanted to keep the dark academia vibe and so went for pillars, Shakespeare drawing, pieces of typed paper, and ornaments. Next, I read The Thursday Murder Club. I really liked the premise of this book. Old people solving murders in a retirement home seemed like a funny, quirky mystery and possibly endearing read. And on some level, it was all those things. It was just a bit more underwhelming than I anticipated. The story starts off as Joyce joins the Thursday Murder Club, a sort of extracurricular group that a small number of people at the retirement home organize. All of them are interested in solving crimes for some reason or another, and they get together once a week to look into old unsolved murders. But when a murder happens that is somewhat connected to their retirement home, they decide to get involved in the investigation and they try to solve a series of recent crimes. And I think this last part was the first pain point for me a little. I know that there are certain prejudices about people who are older, and even police might be more lenient towards them, kind of writing off their actions because of their age, but there is simply no way that they would have gotten away with this much as they did in the book. Now I know it's fiction, but it did annoy me just a little. It made it very unbelievable. I think my main issue, however, was that it was just a bit dragging on, and it didn't really keep my attention as much as I thought it would have. I enjoyed reading it, but not so much that I couldn't put it down or was looking forward to continue reading it. It felt just okay, both in terms of the writing style, the story, the plot, the characters, and I was really expecting to get attached to some of them, but I can't say that I really did. So for me personally, I would recommend this book only if you absolutely love anything crime or mystery related, but if you have an endless TBR that you can't catch up with, then I would just skip over this one. I'm not sure if I will continue the series. I haven't quite decided yet, so if you have read the second or third book in the series, do let me know if it's worth giving a shot. Then I read The Inheritance Games, which I had on my TBR forever. Avery Grams gets pulled out of class one day, finding out that the Hawthorne family has been trying to get in touch with her because she's expected at the reading of the will following Tobias Hawthorne's death. Now, she has no idea who this man is, much less why he has left her his entire fortune. But to receive this inheritance, Avery has to live in the Hawthorne house for a year, where the rest of the family also lives. The family that was expecting large sums of inheritance money. So we follow Avery as she navigates her new life, riddles, puzzles, and dangerous situations behind every corner. The Inheritance Games is the first book in a young adult mystery trilogy. I would definitely say that this book was a page-turner, although I think that in the beginning it was more a page-turner in the sense that I was waiting for something to happen. I was a bit impatient and thought the story took quite a while to get going, but I did enjoy the book in the end, and it was an easy read that I finished in no time. I think it's a really interesting setup for the rest of the series, so I'm looking forward to see where the story goes. I'm not yet attached to the characters that much, but I am intrigued and definitely see some potential there, so I'm curious to see the character development in the next two books. I would definitely recommend this book if you like mystery, suspense, and puzzles, and you like thinking with the main characters what is going on and what any of it means. It has a little bit of a dark academia vibe as well, with the house being very majestic. It has all these secret passages and libraries. I'm definitely excited for the next books in the series. Finally, I read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This was my first Agatha Christie and I really enjoyed it. I had picked up this book in a charity shop a long time ago since I felt like I should read this author's work at some point, and now thought that fall was a perfect time to finally get to it. The book follows 10 people who get invited by the Owens to spend a retreat on Soldier Island. No one seems to know this person directly. They were either sent there by someone who says they know them, or received a letter saying someone who knows them would be there too, or any other reason that makes them go even though they don't really know this person. Soldier Island also has been in the news lately, apparently being bought by a very rich person throwing extravagant parties, so they're all quite intrigued and don't really need a lot of motivation to agree to going to Soldier Island. When they get there, the Owens are not there yet, and they're received by two housekeepers who also haven't met the Owens, but received very clear instructions on how to entertain the guests that night in their absence. One of which was to put on a gramophone, and when that happens, it plays this tape listing the guests one by one and accusing each of them of murder. Everyone is of course taken aback, looking at each other suspiciously, and when guests are dying, they assume that a murderer is among them, killing off the guests. Neither the guests nor the readers know who the killer among them is, and we equally try to figure out as the book goes along. This was a mystery that really kept me intrigued from start to finish. I think the book does a really good job at making everyone look suspicious. There are tons of red herrings. I also really enjoyed that obviously a lot of the characters were morally grey, and it's really up to the reader too to decide if these people are in fact murderers themselves or not. I would definitely recommend this if you enjoy mysteries and crime novels. I think it's a classic that's also a really easy to read. So that was my September wrap-up. I hope to hear about your September reading in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a nice day.